The sky above Earth's forgotten wastelands was dark and heavy with storm clouds. Lightning cracked through the sky. Hidden deep in the clouds, a small royal alien skyship was falling fast, spinning, burning. Inside that ship was Lyra Velara, a highborn alien girl from the noble houses of Zephyra. Her skin was smooth silver, her hair shining like blue silk, and her eyes glowed faintly in the dark. She wasn't used to danger. Her life had always been safe, protected, until now. Engines failing. A robotic voice shouted inside the ship. Lyra grabbed the seat tightly, heart pounding. No, this isn't happening. But it was, with a final deafening boom. The skyship smashed into the earth below. Trees shattered, dirt flew into the air, fire exploded around the wreck. For several long minutes, there was silence. Only the sound of crackling fire and falling rain. Then movement. A metal door of the skyship hissed open. Smoke poured out. Lyra crawled out, one hand on her head, blood dripping from her silver forehead. Her royal gown was torn. Her leg twisted. Painfully, her voice trembled as she spoke. Guards? Where are my guards? But no one answered. Her bodyguards were gone, alone, injured. The sky around her was fully dark now, except for orange flames. Acid rain began falling from the sky. Earth's wastelands weren't safe for her kind. The acid would burn through alien skin if left too long. Suddenly, footsteps echoed nearby. Slow, steady. Lyra turned her glowing eyes toward the sound. Her heart raced faster. Was it a human or a monster? Out from the smoke walked a figure tall, broad-shouldered, covered in old metal armor pieces and cloth. A gas mask hid his face. He carried a glowing stick of light in one hand. Some kind of human tool, a human scavenger. For a moment, Lyra felt pure rage and fear mix inside her. A filthy human was the last thing she wanted to see. The human stepped closer and spoke with a deep, quiet voice. You're alive. Don't move. His words made her skin crawl. Don't touch me, Lyra snapped, voice sharp. I am Lyra Velara of the noble Zephyra. You can't. But the human ignored her protests. He knelt beside her, scanning her body with some kind of handheld device. Lyra's pride screamed in her chest, but her leg throbbed with sharp pain. Then, the unthinkable happened. The human touched her. His gloved hands wrapped around her waist, lifting her like she weighed nothing. No! She shouted again, squirming weakly in his arms. You can't touch me. Stop! But the storm was growing worse. The rain now hissed loudly, burning small holes into the ship's broken metal. The human's voice came again. You'll die if I leave you here. Lyra didn't care. Her whole life, she'd been told, a noble's body must never be touched by lower hands. It was law. But the cold rain stung her skin. Her vision blurred. Her pride was strong, but her body was weak. With a quiet, painful sigh, she let her head fall against the human's shoulder. The last thing she saw before fainting was his mask, glowing red against the rain. When Lyra woke up again, it was dark but warm. She opened her eyes slowly. Her body ached. Her leg was bandaged. She wasn't in the skyship anymore. She lay on a simple human-made bed inside a small metal shelter with glowing lights. It smelled of oil dust and something burning. Her silver eyes looked around in disbelief. Her royal gown had been cleaned and folded beside her. Impossible. She whispered. Suddenly, the shelter's metal door opened. The human entered, carrying a steaming cup of something. His mask was off now. Lyra saw his face. Dark hair, rough skin, sharp eyes, and a quiet expression. He set the cup down beside her without saying much. Lyra glared at him. I don't need your help. You shouldn't have touched me. The human just shrugged. Didn't seem right to leave you. Those words made Lyra's chest tighten strangely. She turned her face away, eyes burning with unspoken feelings. Anger, shame, for the first time in her life. She wasn't sure if her noble pride was enough to keep her alive. The storm outside raged on. But the real storm was now inside her. Crash had changed everything. And this was just the beginning. When Lyra opened her eyes again, the storm outside was quieter, but the sky remained gray. Her body felt heavy. Her silver skin was cold. She moved her hand slowly over her leg. The pain was sharp, but someone had tied soft cloth around it. She wasn't in her royal ship anymore. The walls were made of rough metal sheets. A small heater glowed in one corner. Strange human tools lay scattered. Wires, old machine parts, rusted weapons. It wasn't a place meant for a princess. It smelled of metal and smoke. Her glowing eyes narrowed. How dare he bring me here? At that moment, the door creaked open. Jacob stepped inside. The human. This time Lyra saw him clearly. He wasn't dressed like a soldier or royal guard. Just worn boots, a patched jacket, old armor pieces. His face wasn't ugly, but rough. A long scar cut across his jaw. His dark eyes looked tired. In his hand, he held a bowl of warm food. Lyra sat up quickly, ignoring the pain in her leg. "You, take me back to my ship. Right now." Her voice shook with pride and anger. Jacob didn't even flinch. "Your ship's useless. Nothing left of it but fire and metal." He placed the bowl beside her. "Eat. You'll feel stronger." Lyra's stomach growled painfully. Her body needed food, but her pride. "I don't eat human food," she snapped. Jacob only shrugged. "That's fine. Starve then. Makes no difference to me." He turned and walked away, sitting by the heater, working on something with his tools. His calm attitude only made Lyra angrier. No one had ever treated her like she wasn't important before, but the hunger clawed at her. Minutes passed. Her hands trembled as she finally reached for the bowl. The smell was strange meat, spices, something burning. But her pride couldn't stop her now. She ate slowly, each bite warming her frozen chest. Jacob didn't look back. He didn't watch her. That confused Lyra even more. In her world, humans either feared her or begged to serve, but Jacob treated her like just another person. "Why are you helping me?" she asked finally, voice quieter. Jacob didn't stop working. He answered, "Simply, didn't seem right, leaving you to die." That sentence made Lyra pause. Didn't seem right? Not about money, not orders, just right and wrong? The idea felt strange to her. In Zephyra's noble houses, everything was about value. Power, bloodline, rank. Right and wrong didn't matter. Only status. But this human, he saw something else. Her pride felt heavier now. It sat on her shoulders like a weight. Lyra glanced down at her leg again. Without Jacob, she'd already be dead. Her royal blood wouldn't have saved her. Suddenly, her hand brushed against a small tool lying beside her on the bed. A metal wrench. Her fingers curled around it. For a moment, she imagined using it as a weapon. Maybe she could force Jacob to take her somewhere safer, somewhere she belonged. But where was that now? Her guards were gone. Her ship destroyed. Her people wouldn't come looking in human wastelands. She was truly alone. Her silver eyes softened just slightly. "Who are you?" she asked after a long silence. Jacob glanced over his shoulder. "Name's Jacob, scavenger. Live out here fixing things." "Hunting for old tech," Lyra frowned. "You don't serve the human government?" Jacob chuckled once, low and dry. "Don't serve anyone." That answer surprised her even more. In Zephyra, no one lived without serving someone higher. There was always a chain: nobles, royals, soldiers, workers, slaves. But this man was free. That thought sat strangely in Lyra's mind. She finished the last bite of food slowly, setting the bowl aside. Her pride still burned inside her, but something else was growing too. Curiosity. Who was this man really? Why did he feel different? As the storm rumbled quietly outside, Lyra wrapped the rough human blanket around her shoulders. It was scratchy and plain. Nothing like the silk from her palace, but it was warm. And she didn't push it away, for now she would stay, not because she wanted to, because she had no choice, but deep inside, part of her whispered something she wasn't ready to say out loud yet. Maybe. She didn't mind the human's touch as much as she claimed, not anymore. Heavy rain continued falling on the metal roof. Each drop made a sharp, steady sound: tap, tap, tap. Lyra sat quietly on the edge of the small human bed, her silver eyes staring at the door. Jacob hadn't spoken to her in hours. He was sitting at his workbench, fixing something small, a metal box with glowing wires. Sparks flew as he worked. His face was calm, focused, like she wasn't even there. For Lyra, this was a new kind of silence. In the royal palace, silence was power. It meant control. Here, it felt lonely. She wrapped the blanket tighter around her shoulders. Her legs still hurt, but she could move now. Slowly, carefully, she stood up. Each step was difficult, but she managed to walk to the window. Outside, lightning lit up the wasteland. The sky flashed white-blue, showing broken machines, rusted towers, and far beyond a sharp black line, the edge of the forest. Dangerous. Lyra had grown up hearing stories about this part of Earth. Wild lands full of hunters, monsters, lawless humans. Her people always said, never trust Earthlings. But here she was, depending on one. Her reflection in the window caught her attention. Her silver skin looked pale. Her long blue hair was messy. She hardly recognized herself. No crown, no guards, just Lyra, alone. And that human man who wouldn't even look at her. Suddenly, a loud crack of thunder shook the shelter. Lyra jumped. Instinctively, she stumbled backward, bumping into Jacob's work table. His tool slipped from his hand. Careful, Jacob said quietly. His voice was calm, but he stood up, steadying her arm. Lyra's heart jumped, not from the thunder. From his hand on her arm. Her royal pride said she should pull away. But she didn't. Their eyes met for a brief moment. Lyra quickly looked down. I didn't mean to. I wasn't scared. Jacob didn't smile. He just nodded and picked up his tool again. Storm's rough tonight, he said, sitting back down. Lyra moved back to the window slowly. Her voice came out softer this time. Why do you live here, so far from others? Jacob answered while working. Quieter, easier. People out here leave you alone. That doesn't sound easy, Lyra whispered. Jacob gave a small shrug. Better than following orders. Lyra understood that, but she wasn't ready to admit it out loud. Silence filled the room again, only broken by thunder and the buzz of Jacob's tools. Then, without really thinking, Lyra spoke again. Her voice was low. Back in my world, no one touches me. Not even servants. Jacob's hands paused for a second. He looked up. Lyra's single quotes eyes stayed on the window. When you picked me up, I was angry. I thought you didn't care about who I was. Jacob set down his tool completely now. His dark eyes focused on her. I don't care, he said simply. Lyra's head turned sharply, her eyes wide. Jacob leaned back in his chair, arms crossed. Out here, princess or scavenger, it doesn't matter. We all bleed the same. Those words felt heavier than thunder. Lyra swallowed, her throat dry. Where I'm from, people would kill for saying something like that. Jacob gave a half smile this time. Good thing we're not where you're from. For a moment, Lyra almost smiled too. Almost. Her fingers touched the cold glass of the window. Another flash of lightning lit the room. Her heart felt strange. Again, tight, warm and cold at the same time. She spoke again, her voice barely a whisper. Why did you really save me, Jacob? Jacob stood up slowly, walking toward her. He stopped a few steps away, close enough that she could feel his presence. But not too close. I told you already, he said. Didn't seem right to leave you. Lyra's hands trembled slightly. But I'm not human, she said. I'm supposed to be your enemy. Jacob's voice stayed calm. You looked scared, hurt. That's all I saw. For a long, long moment, they stood in silence. The storm outside faded into the background. Lyra's eyes met his again. Something inside her broke, just a little. Her pride, maybe. Or her walls. Her voice was quiet, but sure. I don't hate your touch anymore. Jacob didn't answer right away. But he didn't step back either. Finally, he just nodded once. I know, the storm outside continued. But inside the small shelter, a different kind of storm was calming. Not one of thunder and lightning. One of two strangers becoming something more. 3 days had passed since Lyra's crash. In that time, her leg had healed enough for slow walking. Jacob had given her an old walking stick and showed her how to balance her weight. It wasn't graceful, but it worked. Every day, Lyra spent hours standing at the shelter's doorway, staring out into the wasteland. The sky always seemed dark here. Once a highborn alien girl, she now wore human clothes, old boots, a worn black jacket. Her shining silver skin was still visible under it, but she no longer cared as much. Jacob had even shown her how to cook food on a simple fire. It felt strange learning such low work, but it felt honest too. For the first time in her life, Lyra felt like she was doing things for herself. That morning, while Lyra was heating water, Jacob stepped outside. He always did that, checking the area, looking for danger. Lyra kept stirring the pot quietly. The steam warmed her face. Then suddenly, a sharp, cold voice spoke behind her. Princess Villara, step away from the human. Lyra froze. Her heart jumped. Slowly, she turned around. 4 tall figures in shining black armor stood just outside the shelter's entrance. Royal guards from Zephyra. Her people, their faces were hidden behind silver masks. Each one held a plasma weapon, aimed at Jacob's back. Jacob hadn't even noticed yet. He was still looking out across the hills. Lyra's hands shook. Her voice cracked. How did you find me? One guard stepped forward. His voice was cold like metal. We tracked your ship's crash signal. Your mother demands your return. Lyra's breath caught, of course. Her mother, High Lady. Villara would never leave her behind. But Lyra didn't want to go back. Not now, not after everything. The guard glanced at Jacob. His voice dropped lower. This human, he touched you, didn't he? Lyra's mouth opened, but no words came out. Another guard hissed. He's filth. We'll erase him before returning you home. Her eyes widened in shock. No. Her voice echoed through the shelter like thunder. Jacob finally turned around, eyes narrowing as he saw the armed guards. His hand moved toward his weapon, but Lyra stepped in front of him. Her silver skin shimmered as she raised both hands. Stop, she shouted. Don't touch him. I order you. The guards hesitated, confused. Princess. One said, you're protecting a human? Lyra's voice shook, but she didn't back down. Yes, he saved me. He healed me. I owe him my life. One guard raised his weapon slightly. But he's just a scavenger. Lyra swallowed hard. Her heart pounded in her ears. I don't care what he is. Hurt him, and I won't return home. Silence fell. Even Jacob looked surprised now. His eyes flicked toward Lyra, studying her face carefully. The leader of the guards stepped forward, lowering his weapon. Your mother will not accept this, princess. You cannot lower yourself. Lyra's chin lifted higher. Her voice grew stronger. Maybe. I already have. A gust of wind blew through the doorway. Lyra's silver hair lifted slightly in the breeze. For the first time in her life, she felt free. The guard stood frozen for a long moment. Then the leader spoke again. Very well. We will report your decision. Without another word, the guards turned and walked back toward a hidden ship in the distance. Lyra watched them until they disappeared over the hill. Then, everything was quiet again. Her shoulders sank with relief. Her legs felt weak. Jacob stepped closer. His voice was calm, but serious. You didn't have to do that. Lyra turned to face him. Her eyes glimmered. Yes, I did. For a long moment, they just stood there. Two worlds, now connected by choice. Jacob finally asked, so what now? Lyra breathed in slowly. The air smelled like dust and freedom. Now, I think I stay. Jacob gave a rare, small smile. Good. I was getting used to having you around. And for the first time since the crash, Lyra smiled too. Not as a princess, not as royalty, just as Lyra. The danger had followed her here, but she had made her choice. She wasn't going back. This was her new home now. 2 nights after Lyra chose to stay with Jacob, the wasteland was too quiet. No rain, no wind. The sky was empty of lightning. That's when Jacob woke suddenly. A red light flashed on his old tracking device. Someone was moving nearby too close. Jacob grabbed his weapon and stepped toward Lyra's bed. Lyra, he said quietly, wake up. Her silver eyes opened fast. One look at his face and she knew. They came back? She whispered. Jacob nodded. Or worse, we can't risk it. We move, now. Lyra sat up, biting her lip. Her leg wasn't fully healed yet, but she didn't argue. Her heart pounded as she pulled on her boots and jacket. Jacob packed supplies quickly, food, tools, weapons. Suddenly, Lyra paused. Her hand touched the old royal crest, still hidden in her jacket pocket. It meant nothing now, but it was the last piece of her old life. She closed her fist around it and dropped it onto the floor. No more royal life. No more ZEPHYR. Jacob gave her a look, but didn't say anything. He opened the door, and they both stepped into the cold night. The stars above were sharp and bright, scattered like silver dust. But Lyra wasn't thinking about stars. She was thinking about survival. Jacob led her through the wasteland. Broken machines, rusted cars, old bones scattered across the ground. His footsteps were steady, but Lyra stumbled sometimes. Once, she almost fell. Jacob caught her arm fast. His grip was strong, warm. You okay? He asked. Lyra nodded. I'm fine. Let's keep moving. Hours passed. The sun started to rise, turning the sky from black to purple. That's when the sound of engines filled the air. Jacob stopped walking. His eyes narrowed as 2 black Zephyr patrol ships appeared over the hills, flying low. Damn, he muttered. They're serious now. Lyra's chest tightened. Her people would not stop until she was taken back. Where do we go? She asked. Jacob pointed toward the dark edge of the forest far ahead. Bunker, he said. Old human hideout. They'll have trouble finding us there. Lyra trusted him now. Without question, she followed. Suddenly shouting. Voices from behind. Guards. Lyra Valara, one shouted. Surrender now. Jacob grabbed Lyra's hand and pulled her into a run. Lyra's leg burned with pain, but she didn't care. Her hand stayed tight in his. Her heart was racing faster than it ever had in the palace. They ran until they reached the trees. Tall black branches covered them from the sky. For the first time, Lyra felt like she could breathe again. Jacob slowed down only when they reached a metal door hidden under roots and dirt. He pulled it open and gestured for her to go inside. The bunker was cold and dark at first. But as Jacob turned on old lights, Lyra saw metal walls, storage boxes, broken screens. She sat down hard on one of the crates, breathing heavily. Jacob checked the door twice, making sure it was locked. Then silence. For a long time, neither of them spoke. Finally, Lyra broke the quiet. I really did it. I ran away from my own people. Jacob glanced at her. You made your choice. That's not easy. Lyra looked down at her hands. Her royal skin was dusty, scratched. Her nails were chipped. But she didn't mind anymore. Back there, she said quietly, when I stood in front of you, I wasn't sure if I could do it. Jacob sat beside her now, arms resting on his vase. Knees, you did. Lyra's eyes met his. Why did you help me, really? I know it wasn't just about right and wrong. Jacob sighed. His voice was lower now. Long time ago, alien nobles destroyed my village. Took everything, my family too. Lyra felt her chest ache. I didn't know, she whispered. Wasn't your fault, Jacob said simply. But when I saw you in the wreck, I remembered. That feeling, helpless, alone. Lyra's hand moved slowly, resting on top of his. This time, there was no anger. No shame. Her voice was soft. Thank you, Jacob. He gave a slow nod. You're welcome. The bunker lights flickered as they both sat quietly, side by side. Outside, the search continued. But for now, they had escaped together. Not as scavenger and princess. As something else. Two survivors. Two people who chose each other over everything. Else, asterisk, the old bunker's metal walls felt colder today. Lyra sat in the corner, legs folded, staring at her own reflection in a cracked mirror. Her silver skin had scratches now. Her once perfect hair hung loose, messy, but what caught her attention was her own eyes. They didn't look like a royal girl's anymore. They looked free. Jacob was checking weapons nearby, making sure the plasma cells were full. Lyra watched him quietly, her mind full of questions she didn't know how to ask. After everything, her ship, the crash, the guards, she still wasn't sure what came next. Suddenly, a sharp alarm echoed through the bunker. Jacob stood up fast. Movement outside. Lyra's heart tightened. Again? Her people would never stop. She stood slowly, limping toward him. Jacob glanced at her leg. Can you run? I'll manage, she said. But it was already too late. The bunker door shook. Loudly. Someone was trying to break in. Jacob aimed his weapon at the door. Get behind me. But Lyra didn't move. Instead, she stepped forward. The door burst open, and standing there wasn't just guards. It was her mother. High Lady Valara. Tall, silver-skinned, glowing eyes just like Lyra's, surrounded by 10 armed royal guards. The lady's voice was cold as ice. Lyra Valara, you have shamed your bloodline long enough. Step away from the human. Jacob kept his weapon raised, but he didn't fire. Lyra's chest ached. Her heart pounded. This was it. The moment. Her mother's voice came again. You will return with me now. This is not a choice. But Lyra stepped forward, her voice shaking. No. The air in the bunker went silent. Even the guards seemed frozen in shock. Her mother's eyes narrowed. You dare. Lyra's voice grew stronger now. Each word clear. I do. I am not coming back. I am not your property. I'm not royal anymore. Jacob's hand slowly lowered his weapon as he watched her. The guards raised their weapons toward him, but Lyra lifted her arm. Touch him, she said, and I swear on my bloodline, I will never set foot in Zephora again. Her mother's face darkened. You're throwing away everything for a human? Lyra didn't even look away. Yes. Her mother took a step forward, her long coat swirling behind her. You know what that means, Lyra. No title. No home, no protection. Lyra breathed in slowly. I know. For the first time in her life, her voice didn't sound like a noble's voice. It sounded like her own. Her mother studied her for a long moment. Then with a cold turn of her head, she spoke to the guards. Leave her. But, one guard started. I said leave her. If she wants exile, let her have it. The guards slowly lowered their weapons. The group turned and left as silently as they had come. Only her mother stayed one moment longer, eyes still fixed on Lyra. Her final words were quiet. You'll regret this." Then she was gone. The bunker fell silent again. Lyra stood still, staring at the now empty doorway. Her legs shook not from fear, from the weight that had just been lifted from her shoulders. Jacob stepped up beside her. "You didn't have to do that," he said quietly. Lyra turned her face toward him. "I wanted to." Her voice cracked slightly, but her eyes stayed strong. For once, there was no more pretending, no more duty, no more royal pride. Just choice. Her choice. Jacob looked at her for a long moment. Then he offered her his hand. "Guess we better figure out what comes next." Lyra didn't hesitate. She placed her hand in his. Fingers wrapped together. Alien and human. Princess and scavenger. Now neither of those things. Just two people walking into an unknown future. Together. The storm outside didn't matter anymore, because the storm inside her heart was finally calm. Weeks passed. The skyship wreck was gone, scrapped and melted by wasteland storms. No patrols flew over this land anymore. No guards came looking for Lyra Villara. Her name had been erased from royal records, but Lyra didn't care anymore. Inside Jacob's shelter, now rebuilt and stronger, she stood next to him, holding a heavy metal tool in her hand. Her silver skin glowed faintly under the workshop light. Her once smooth hands now showed small scars. She was learning, fixing broken machines, cleaning parts, carrying supplies across rough land. Every task felt real. Lyra wasn't royalty anymore. But she didn't feel smaller, she felt bigger, in a different way. That evening, after the sun sank low and the sky turned purple, Jacob and Lyra sat outside by a small fire. Jacob handed her a metal cup. "Water," he said simply. Cold this time. Lyra smiled slightly as she accepted it. A quiet smile, not like the royal smile she had worn before. They sat in silence for a while. The stars above looked sharper here, closer somehow. Lyra finally spoke. "I never thought I'd feel peace like this. Just sitting without anyone watching me." Jacob glanced at her. "You don't miss your old life?" Lyra thought carefully. "I miss parts of it. The skyships, the soft clothes. But not the weight." Jacob raised an eyebrow. "The weight?" "The rules," Lyra explained softly. "The silence. Always walking straight. Always speaking carefully. Always pretending." She turned her silver eyes toward Jacob fully now. "With you, I don't have to pretend." Jacob's voice stayed calm, but there was something warmer in it now. "Same here." The fire cracked quietly. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Lyra stood up slowly, stretching her arms above her head. Her long blue hair caught the light of the flames. "I want to build something," she said suddenly. Jacob blinked. "What?" "A real home," Lyra said, voice sure now. "Not a shelter, not a bunker. A house for both of us." Jacob studied her face carefully, and then, for the first time since they met, he truly smiled, big, real, sharp and honest. "That sounds good," he said. "We can do that." Lyra smiled back. It was strange, she thought. Back in Zephyra, she had lived in a palace made of crystal and gold. But somehow, the idea of building a house from dirt and metal pieces with Jacob felt better. Suddenly her hand moved. Without fully thinking, Lyra reached out and took Jacob's hand in hers. Not like before, not because she had to. Not because she was scared. Because she wanted to. Jacob didn't pull away. His voice lowered slightly. "You sure you want this life, Lyra? No crowns. No thrones, just this." Lyra squeezed his hand lightly. "I'm sure." Her voice didn't shake this time. From princess to partner, from royal to real. It wasn't about thrones anymore. It was about the feeling in her chest, now a warm, steady thing she had never known before. They stood together under the stars. No guards, no laws, no more chains. Just freedom. Just two people choosing each other. That was everything.